YouTube Zodiacs, what's good? Is your favorite Gemini, KashDaGemini, and I am back with episode 25 of the Cash and Now Show. Today's episode is sponsored by Raising Cane's. Man, you can get some good chicken fingers, the box combo, the Caniac combo, or a kid's meal if you guys like, and ask for the lemonade. It's not as good as Chick-fil-A lemonade, but hey, it does the job, man. We got Nathan Chaffman in the building, man. How's it going?
Hey, what's good, everybody? How's everyone doing tonight?
Hey, pretty good, man. I kind of thought today was a Friday. I don't know why. Felt
Yeah.
like a Friday. We were streaming last night and somebody mentioned about snow, right?
hmm
And we joking about snow. Stay on the West Coast. Don't come to the Midwest. Stuff like that. Weather's unpredictable. Get done streaming. Go upstairs. Snow on the ground, man. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, it's March 31st, man. Like, what the hell?
I'm glad that's gone. Here, we had a sunny day in Washington
Oh wow.
on, on the northwest coast, just outside of Tacoma. I was out there mowing my grass today, actually. It's been a busy day. As soon as I got done with work, got out there, and it was the first time I cut my grass this year. So there was a lot of extra steps involved. Getting in between the cracks of the sidewalk, the gutters, driveway, etc. So I don't know. I was out there a little over an hour and a half, and then luckily the wife had dinner cooked fairly quick, and it was ready and prepared right when I came in. So it was really convenient. And got showered up and came right in here to do this. So yeah, long day. This week's flying by.
No doubt, man. You know what's crazy about the gutters, right? So like, I've cleaned the gutters before, for my aunt, for my grandma. I've taken care of that chore for them, that task. I go on my own damn roof, right? And I get the ladder out. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna clean the gutters today, right? And I'm like, oh crap, this is a little bit of a higher house than I'm used to, man. I was like, I'm scared of heights, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
I had to come down for a second and kind of reevaluate. Like, okay, I'm gonna just I'm gonna have her hold the ladder real quick.
Yeah, I won't get on my roof. Unfortunately, we have a HOA here in the neighborhood, and being that I'm in Washington, it rains 8 9 months out of the year. So,
Yeah,
and then cloudy skies, so we have problems with you know shit growing on the roof. Fungus and mold and whatnot. So every now and then, I gotta get a guy to come out here and climb on the roof with a pressure washer and clean it off to make the HOA happy. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
no
fun.
doubt.
It comes with the neighborhood.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely, definitely.
I'm not getting up there. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of heights, but uh, I don't have a ladder that would reach up that high, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm too old to get up there, man. That's what I feel like. So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
yeah.
Hey, what's going on with everybody in the chat, man? Appreciate everybody for coming and being here. Got Gotham Cenobites in the building. What's going on, Terry? Dennis
What's up,
Perez from the
Terry?
Puerto Rico Statue Collectors. Edwin Diaz, man. What's going on? Late night trip in the building. My guy Tone. J Rob from Detroit. What's good, man? Warren Dante. What's up, peeps? Cash and Mr. Samurai Nathan. All right. Pudgy in the building. What's going on, man? Elijah Mack. How's it going? Aiden Martinez. An Optimus 1466. Elijah Mack. What's up, man? Let's see who else we have. Archangel. Pudgy. This just like my wedding night. Oh, boy. Fatal the Collector. What's going on, man? You late again, Cash. Hey, man. Always.
What's up, Arch?
Walton Chunky, what's going on, man? Appreciate you, man. Got a lot of people here tonight, man. Appreciate everybody for coming. Skills Power, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in a minute. Skills, appreciate you as well for being here. Trey Smith, what's going on? And Jesse Hernandez, man. Hey, Jesse. Jack Black, man. Jack Black. Paulie's Hideout, appreciate you, man. So before we get as we're getting started, appreciate everybody for trickling in. Gonna have a good show. I heard you had mentioned the wife, so I gotta start there, man. They say happy wife, happy life. Is your wife very supportive of the hobby? Does she think you're crazy?
Uh, Absolutely. Um, and before I continue, Cash, I want to say thanks for having me on tonight, man. I forgot to say it at the beginning, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt,
Um,
man.
yeah, my wife, I actually met when I was stationed overseas in Tokyo, and she had come over to Japan from China to go to school to learn language. So we met there locally, and my uh, first couple of collectibles that I bought that were along the lines of what I have now were two Hot Toy figures. It was 1989 uh, Keaton Batman and Jack Nicholson Joker,
Hmm.
and they were pre-owned. I don't know. I think I spent about $330 for the both of them, like combined. And mind you, this was 2012, so they hadn't been out that long, and they weren't nearly as high of a price yet. Uh, and my wife had actually found the store that I bought those at, and she
Nice.
continued to research these little niche toy stores throughout Tokyo, and it was almost like we could go to a new one every weekend. There was so many, and the city is so large, um, and some of them were just amazing. Classic vintage toys on display with modern. They had Hot Toys vehicles that were covered in vinyl decals of anime and characters and whatnot. Um, One of the things that stood out was an original '79, I believe, alien doll from Kenner in the
Ooh.
box, and I offered them almost $1,000, I think, and they wouldn't take it, uh, unfortunately. But yeah, so she'd take me on these adventures every weekend when I had some time off, and I'd find more and more Hot Toys, and it kind of snowballed from there.
Cool, man. Cool. So we use this term in the community, enabler. So it sounds like the missus started this all, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she will still enable me. She's researched, toy shows in the area. Um, Now that we're in the states again, you know, I still go and ask her, if I want to make a purchase. Hey, I want to buy this, and I'll typically give the justification after that. I'm selling this piece,
Yeah.
or I canceled this, or what have you, to justify it to myself partially, but to justify it to her too. And she always says yes.
Hmm.
Always says yes. She's very supportive, and I love her for it, for sure. So,
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's crazy. That's really crazy. I mean, I bet a lot of guys would definitely appreciate that, man. Do you find from your time overseas, far as like, I don't want to say comic stores, but I guess for lack of better terming, I'll say kind of like vintage stores or pop culture type stores. Do you feel like you had more of a selection over there than you do stateside?
absolutely, uh, absolutely. They were all over the place. Um, there's a chain of stores in Japan, and I think they even have a couple locations in California.
Hmm.
It's called Hobby Off, and I used to go there to find records, but I did find a few collectibles at places like that as well. But just a random place to find collectibles, and they're so popular in the culture over there that they're just prominently everywhere you look. Really, you don't have to go to a specialty store to find a lot of these collectibles, especially small scale stuff that you can put on your desk. Um, and you have to remember, a lot of them are in very tiny, many of them one bedroom apartments.
Yeah.
They don't have very much space over there, so there's a ton of these tiny collectibles almost everywhere you look over there. But then stores that sell statues, hot toys, that kind of stuff, they're not they're not as rampant, but
Yeah.
they're fairly common. Not nothing like here. There's a few places in my area that sell that kind of stuff, but not many.
Okay. So far as like your local comic store, how many of those do you actually have in your like? I guess you could say maybe I don't know 50-mile radius. Maybe that's your city or the city over. Do you have very many?
I can think of about five or six off the top of my head.
Oh wow.
The most prominent and the one that I would or have gone to the most is in Olympia. Actually, it's a place called Gabby's or Olympic Cards and Comics. Actually,
Hmm.
a huge warehouse style store with a second story for
Oh
tabletop
cool.
gaming, and they even have an elevator uh, in there for handicap players to get up to the second floor, and also to give you a scale of how big this place is. But they have comics, role playing games, statues, sixth scale, and everything in between. Really, great store. There's a few others in the area as well. There's a couple toy shops locally that are decent, but don't really specialize in statues.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's crazy because far as me, I know there's two for certain. I think a third. But if there's any more than the three, I'd probably have to drive to the nearest town over. To be honest, like, and even today, I put up the third, I guess, room tour or whatnot, and I just did a local comic store went inside there, and somebody left on a video. They're like, "Yo, man, I didn't know you were from Nebraska," and it's somebody who was in the CW's Facebook group. I'm like, "Yo, man, I didn't know anybody else was here either, bro. Like, I know like you got the Batman statue collector on the next state over. You got Mr. X very close, but I'm like, hey, I
What
thought it was
state are
just
you
us,
in,
man.
Cash?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Omaha, Nebraska. I
Yeah,
don't
man.
believe I've ever been through there before. Hey, I gotta mention this real quick. A coworker of mine, Jonathan, told me about this drink last week,
Right, right.
Nitro Pepsi, and it is delicious. So that's what I'm drinking right now. It pours out like a Guinness or a Boddington would. Um, no widget in there, but uh, pours out like draft. It's pretty good.
Gotcha, gotcha. What's up, Razor? Appreciate you being here, man. Cool, man. Cool. Yeah. Like, believe it or not, man. Yesterday was my second time ever. Going being inside of a comic store.
Only
Like,
second time, really.
well, third, because I was there once as a kid. So yeah, this that was like literally my third time ever being in the comic store, like ever. But far as like actually in there to like shop, to look around, to explore, that was my first time ever, which
Hmm.
is crazy. And it's so much stuff in there that you can find. It's so much like old vintage comics, the obviously the new releases. Obviously shout out Danny Lee, Sean, they were telling me like, hey man, you can't just grab the comic, bro. You gotta
Hmm.
make sure it's bagged and boarded, man.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
there's an old movie. There's a scene from an old movie, Mallrats, where two of the characters are walking through a flea market, and one of the characters stops in mid sentence to tell this employee at a store at the flea market and calls her a savage for not having her comics bagged and boarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing though. Comics is one thing I don't really collect much of. I have some. I've got one short box of just a bunch of random stuff that I don't know. I started sometime in the mid to late '80s until now. Most of it I got rid of at some point.
Yeah.
But there's a few, and they're not keys by any means. But there's a few I kept. I do have a few books that are away for grading right now.
Okay.
I went to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle back in December, and unfortunately, CGC wasn't there because there was another con down in Southern California that weekend. So that's where they were at. So I had to go with the alternative CBCS, which is fine. And it saves you a few bucks by dropping them off at a con as opposed to mailing them in. So they took them
Yeah.
off, but I submitted the first prints of Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, issues 1 through 4.
Cool.
One of them has a little ding in it, but I'm thinking that they'll grade fairly high. I'm not doing it to sell them. Doing it because that book has sentimental value.
Yeah.
Part of why I got into comics in the first place and why I'm such a fan of Batman. So, yeah, it's got a special place. I got them from another collector on an auction show one night. I don't know, about a year ago.
Cool.
Yeah, excited
Cool,
about it.
man.
Hopefully, a few months from now, 2 or 3 months, I should get them back.
Typically, how long does that take once you submit them?
This is my first time, and they told me 6 months, roughly, but I don't know. I don't have any experience to base it off of, but everything I read in the groups is 9 months, maybe even a year. If you're a member or I don't know, pay for expedited processing, you can get it
Yeah.
back faster. But I didn't pay for that. I don't know. Hopefully, I'll get them back sometime this summer at the latest. We'll see.
Mhm.
I'm not in that much of a rush to get them back. I was well aware it was going to take a while, just like waiting on a statue. It'll get here eventually.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. How are you when it does come to waiting for a statue? Like that in between time, do you ever find yourself maybe like trying to hunt down one in the aftermarket, looking for an art print, just looking for something?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that for sure. I since I transitioned from hot toys to statues, I went crazy at first, like many do, and over time I've changed focus, and I'm doing my best to stay focused right now. But it's hard not to get sidetracked. Maybe you see a deal that I don't know, too good to be true, or
Yeah.
something really catches your eye. And so, yeah, occasionally I'll buy an in between piece. Recently, I got a sideshow piece, Harley Quinn premium format, the Margot Robbie
Cool.
version. Yeah, and it was a collector up in Canada.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, and up in way, way, way North Canada too,
Hmm.
just outside of Alaska. And yeah, I got down here safely, and she's pretty nice. I was real happy with it. In between piece, like I said.
Yeah. That's one of those things, man. I kind of find you kind of just find yourself like always like constantly looking. You know what I mean? Like just constantly looking for something. Which can get kind of hard, but I don't know, man. I try not to though. As much as you can anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I do my best not to get on the VSTs too much,
Yeah, yeah,
but I can't help it. I have to peek sometimes just to see what's out there, just to I don't know, get a sense of what's going on in the market, I guess. Um, I I had sold a lot over the last year to get to where I'm at now, and right now, thankfully, I'm not selling anything, and hopefully won't be for at least quite some time, because man, it's a hassle dealing with that. So it's good.
No, it really is. When it does come to selling for you, like if you okay, if you're selling a piece, let's say it's not for money, you're selling because you wanna you're looking at something else and you're like, okay, this could fund the new piece or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, is it ever hard for you to let go of the old piece? Is it ever hard for you to like maybe I'll actually rebuy that? You know what I mean? Does that thought ever go into your mind?
I, you're asking if there's some that are really hard to let go.
Yeah, because you think you may actually still want it or you'll rebuy it.
Yeah, I'm looking at a box right now. I boxed up the Bloodborne Hunter statue last night from Prime One,
Yeah.
um, and I love it. Uh, and I haven't had it for too long. It was new old stock that uh, Prime One just posted randomly. I don't know, back in early October of 21, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. I immediately bought it. It got here, by boat fairly quickly, and it's not a Batman statue. It's just one of those in betweens that I had to have because of the opportunity and my love for the game. So I'm selling it to my brother, um,
Nice. Cool. Cool.
who's in Florida, Tampa Bay area. Uh, because right now I think he'll appreciate it more than I will. So I'm actually going to sell it to him at cost. So we're working that out right now, but I'll probably be shipping it out sometime this week. And I'm $185, and that was with pirate ship too. And it was the size on this one that killed it. Just one box, but it's a meter tall. It's a huge box.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Uh,
No doubt.
so that was one. That's one. It's hard to let go. There's been a few sideshow pieces that were hard to let go. I really like the new Harley Quinn Hell on Wheels from Sideshow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like the Sideshow Scarecrow. Um,
Yeah. Let that one
Man,
go.
that was an awesome looking piece in person. And every time I see someone post a picture of it in the groups, I always have to comment the same thing. This is one of Sideshow's best because I truly believe that. So it was somewhat emotional to get rid of that one, but it just doesn't fit. And I have the XM Scarecrow on the way, hopefully sometime soon.
Oh. Yeah. Samurai.
We'll see. Hadn't shipped yet, but I don't know. It's supposed to be Q2, I think. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. No doubt, man. No doubt. Speaking with Amilcar Fong, that was really cool. Like how he was talking about designing the hands on the scarecrow, and as a collector, it's I'm not looking at every single aspect of the art. Obviously I should, to make sure nothing's broke and make sure everything's right. But it's just crazy, when you listen to somebody actually talk about what they're designing and the process that went behind it, to get the complete set. Um, what what drove you to the samurai line? Because obviously they're the characters that we know, but it's a different take on Bane, on Poison Ivy, etc., etc. Was this
Yeah.
just about loving the DC characters, or was this just art?
So I mentioned earlier, um, I had an early love for Batman and his universe. Uh, at a fairly young age, I don't know. I got the Dark Knight Returns, and it was in trade paperback form, so it wasn't initially right when it came out, and I think it was '86, but so it must have been '88, '89. 90 maybe around there. And so ever since then, I've just uh, been mad about Batman. So it's been a little off and on, I guess. There's been other interests that have kind of taken precedence over the years, but it's still there, you know, the
Yeah.
that love for the characters. So um, I switched from collecting hot toys to statues, and uh, even with the hot toys, I did have quite a few Batman related characters, and those those were the last ones to go. Those were the last ones to sell. And in fact, I do still have the '89 Keaton and Joker, as well as the '66 Adam West and Burt Ward. Um, I got the '89 Batmobile still, and I'm waiting on the '66 Batmobile right now from Jazz Inc. So
Okay.
crossing my fingers for June, by the way. But back to the story. Um, so going into statues, it was Batman, and I don't know, seeing it was probably the Shogun or the original Batman Samurai that I saw for the first time several years
Yeah.
ago. And man, what a thing of beauty, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can I get this? Excuse me, it cost me how much? No thanks. But I traded up, so to speak. So I was able to find good deals at times. Selling all my hot toys, financed uh, my entry into the statues. So and then since then, it's been able to mostly fund itself, and I've slowly worked my way to these. The
Hmm.
collection has gotten smaller, but the quality and, well, I wouldn't say quality because there's a lot of good quality products that are out there, but I guess you could say just the higher cost items that maybe normally I would not be able to afford outright, but because I was selling things to be able to finance these, and maybe I had to chip in a little bit extra here and there along the way, I was able to slowly amass what I have now. And it was a long journey, and um, a lot of deals that kind of slipped away. Um, so when I finally got the last one, which was Bane, it was a little emotional because of how difficult it was to track some of them down,
Yeah.
and not only that, but to get them at a price that I could afford. Uh,
So just to ask, the majority of them you had to get in the aftermarket, or all of them?
the only one up there that I bought new was the Joker. Shogun was actually
Oh
new as
wow.
well. I bought the Shogun from a local collector
Hmm.
who responded to an ad I posted on one of the groups saying, I want to buy this. And this guy reached out to me, and I couldn't believe it. Someone in my area saw my ad in the
Yeah.
groups and has what I'm looking for. Not only that, but it was new. It was
Yeah.
sealed. I cracked the seal right there at the bank where we had met to do the transaction. Because it was a large amount of money, and
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to pay him in cash right there in front of the bank. But yeah, I cracked the seal right then and there. It was brand new. So that one and the Joker were new. Everything else was secondhand. So
So
um,
Scarecrow will actually be new though, like
yeah,
your first
yeah.
one. Okay, cool.
Now Penguin should be coming first. Actually,
Okay.
I think it should ship real soon. So that one should come first, and then Scarecrow, and then Red Hood last.
Yeah, Red Hood. Yeah, a lot of people like Red Hood, even as a standalone. I personally find the Scarecrow as the one that could be the standalone, because I just feel like with the, you know, with the fear gas is like, I mean, he could really look however you'd want it to look. So like, I kind of feel like it could be a standalone. But you mentioned getting rid of the sideshows version of that being a piece that you really did like. Do you feel like once you get that XM's version in hand, obviously it's a samurai take opposed to just a more comic take, but do you feel like it'll kind of, I guess, erase that away, like justify that, because of obviously the line you have as well behind you?
Yeah, I think it's going to fill the void for sure. I will still miss that piece because they are extremely different in a lot of ways. Um, the art direction in them, but I think that the new one will fill most of the void. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
That sideshow scarecrow is large, man, and you know I wish I could keep it, but it took a lot of space up. It was a real wide piece.
Yeah, it was because the way they had it, the lean with the
Mm,
leg, and
yeah.
obviously you got to get another character on the base, which was pretty creative on their part as well. Um, it was definitely cool, man. It was one I didn't really want to let go, but I did. Um, and now my collection has really like evolved, and it's kind of like you said. I look around, I'm like, well, I definitely have less pieces now. However, it is more of a, it's more focused, so to say. You know what I mean?
Streamlined is what I like to say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like to.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to streamline my collection because this room, this is it. This
yeah,
is uh, this is where I work
yep,
currently, and for the foreseeable future, at least most of the time. So I spend every day in here, most of the day
nice,
in here. I'm surrounded by these, um, great things,
yeah,
which are, you know, well, they're just really cool to look up and see all the time. I don't know.
yeah, no doubt, man. So if you weren't collecting the samurai line, is there any other line out there that you would collect of any genre?
As a kid, I was also a huge Wolverine fan. So, and I've actually owned a few Wolverine statues. I've owned um, it was a brown suit Wolverine put out by Sideshow, kind of standing on a bridge, a few arrows stuck into the bridge. I guess loosely based on Frank Miller's version from the Chris Claremont story. I don't know, what was that, early '80s? Uh, that was a cool piece, and it didn't get a lot of love, and I don't know why. Although at the time I was not involved in the communities like I am today, so I didn't really know of many other alternatives. But I've also had a Bowen Wolverine,
Okay,
and there was a
cool.
couple versions of it, but uh, he was kind of leaping up in the air with his fists and claws up, and his leg was up against a tree. Uh, I guess it was 6 scale, and he had his classic cowl on
Yeah,
from the Incredible Hulk book. So it was pretty cool. I traded it. I think I did trade that in at a local shop because I had a hard time selling both of those Wolverines. Like I said, that sideshow one just wasn't very popular, but I
yeah,
thought they were cool. So yeah, I guess if I didn't collect Batman, I'd probably have a bunch of Wolverines, which with the amount of customs out there, I
man,
wouldn't know what to do with myself.
yeah,
It's almost like every week there's a new
every
custom
week,
Wolverine, which is great. It gives collectors a lot of options, but
yeah.
too many options can be overwhelming too. So
How do you feel about customs? I guess in general, in a whole, when it comes to price, shipping, edition size, the trusting of the commissioner or the groups or the secrecy or whatever. Like, how do you feel about them?
Uh, I understand the secrecy. Um, However, I also think that studios probably couldn't give two shits about you know a custom shop making a run of 50 statues of their character. It's almost not even worth their time. They wouldn't gain anything out of it. I have some customs, but my experience in dealing with the wait times, the long
Hmm.
wait times, the high shipping prices are not very vast. The highest price I paid for shipping out of any of the items I have would be the Keaton bust from a custom shop in the Philippines, and that was about $650 to ship. I've got
Wow,
a Jack
wow.
Nicholson bust ordered from the same company, and I'm guessing that will be slightly more, unfortunately. But
$650.
yeah, yeah. But the cost of the bus itself was very, very reasonable. I think
Okay,
it was $900, I believe. So $1,500 all in. I mean,
a typical
that's
bus. Yeah.
roughly almost exactly what I spent all in on the Queen Studios Ben Affleck um, from Spec Fiction. So uh, it's very comparable, and it's high quality. I'm real happy with it. Love it. Can't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon, and really excited about the Jack Nicholson. And rumor is that they're going to make a Catwoman after, so we'll see.
Oh
I don't know
wow.
if I'll have the space for that.
Hey, no doubt, man.
Yeah.
What do you feel is worse for a collector? Is it space or is it money?
Right now, uh, I could say, well, if I had to guess, the average collector is probably both.
Both, yeah.
For me, you know, space is more of an issue right now than the cost.
Yeah.
However, and see, I'm not buying many new pieces either right now. I've traded my way up to where I'm at now, and I wouldn't say I'm on a plateau, but I'm pumping the brakes real hard because I'm almost at my limit. What I can fit in here. I do have some empty space here to my right. I've got space for three, uh, maybe space for two more off camera. But yeah, that's my biggest enemy right now. Um, you know, I'm I should feel fortunate that I get a whole room. I don't
Yeah,
know.
man. Yeah.
Uh, Consider me well trained, I guess.
No, I mean honestly,
So
a lot of some collectors have bigger spaces than others. Some just have like a certain section in the room. Some have a
mm,
whole room. Some have two rooms, and some have
mm,
an entire basement. You know what I mean, or an entire house. Everybody's collection in situation is different, both size wise, financially, et cetera, et cetera. Which does make the hobby very cool and interesting based off the pictures, videos, et cetera, that you do get to see with the hobby. Have you ever been fortunate enough to be able to actually see another collector's collection in person?
yeah, I have a friend in the local area. His name's Shane.
Okay.
Really good dude. And we met through the 1/6 scale communities actually, and he might be on right now. I'm not sure. I sent him an invite, but Yeah, we've hung out on multiple occasions. We sometimes go to the local comic shops together. Yeah, good dude. Um, and then the guy that sold me the Shogun,
Hmm.
I tried to reach out to him to, I don't know, build something, but nah, no avail. But oh well. Um, I still don't know a whole lot of people in this area. I've been here almost
Yeah.
5 years, but my family keeps me inside most of the time. Um, yeah, my two little boys. I got a 7 and a 4-year-old, and a lot of work, a lot of work for sure. They keep me on my toes. So don't go out much,
Yeah.
you know. Don't
Hmm.
socialize much, and of course, uh, most of us have not socialized much over the last couple of years, obviously. So there's
Yeah,
that too.
man. No,
So these
no
communities
doubt.
have just been amazing
Yeah, yeah,
uh, to be a part of, and has really helped me keep my sanity. And I've made such good friends on these groups and in these communities and on these YouTube channels. And it's just a fantastic, wonderful thing. And I know that it was there for me when I needed it in some rough times. So I was, just really happy to be part of the community. I guess, sure.
yeah. No doubt, man. The community is, has definitely been kind of cool. Um, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, if it wasn't for the pandemic, would certain, I guess you could say, events, or would certain friendships or sales or etc. even have happened? You know what I mean? Because I can truthfully say that I didn't actually buy my first piece until about 6 months into being home. Once we all got sent home, like I was working at the VA office. You know what I mean, with the Air Force veterans is what I was doing, and we got a
Oh,
call.
for real?
Yeah, yeah, and the government was
Oh,
like, "You guys are going
okay.
home." I
Well,
was like,
yeah, Air Force retired, man. So
"Cool, man. Cool.
that's
Appreciate the
yeah,
service,
small
man."
world.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I was just like,
Thank
okay,
you.
we're going home. Okay, cool, man. And went home, and obviously, I had found the Batman statue collector, had found Mr. X,
Mhm.
um, DCX, and from there, shortly after, I bought my first one, which was, I believe it was either Kotal Khan from Mortal Kombat or Sub Zero
Okay.
from Mortal Kombat. Ironically, two pieces I said I'll never sell these, and they're sold. You know what I mean?
Both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. But I'm,
Yeah.
I'm but I'm happy though. I'm happy, man, because
You
I
know.
love Predators a lot more, and Predator looks great, man. Looks great.
Yeah. I just consider them. I don't know. Nothing against those pieces, but they were your stepping stones. They
Yeah, yeah,
just pieces that were in your collection. As you embark on this journey that you're on, man. And you enjoyed them for
yeah,
a period of time, and they moved on for someone else to enjoy them, and then you got to bring something new in. So um, that's part of why I love the hobby is I could do that with some pieces. A lot of people say buy what you love, and I would say 90% of the things in my collection are things that I love, and most of those it would be really hard to part with. But there are a few in my collection that I bought because I really really liked it at the time. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I liked it, and it's passing through maybe, and I'm okay with that. And I don't buy these to make money off of them, so when I sell it, I'll just do my best to get at least close to what I paid for it back and
yeah,
move
yeah,
on.
yeah. No doubt. Are you the type of reseller that is hey, just let me get as close as I can get, or I'm just pricing to move it, or
You know, I'm normally not in a hurry to sell, but I don't like just sitting on them for an extended period either. If especially if I know something's going to come in and I want the space, so I
yeah,
try to aggressively price them. For example, the last I don't know 7 or 8 sideshow pieces I sold were all but one of them were below retail, including shipping. I typically I put a price up. You know, this is how much it costs shipped West Coast, and if you're east of the Mississippi, this is your price. And sometimes I may come down a little bit if there's a motivated buyer, you know. But yeah, I try to price aggressively, and you know I'm not like I said I'm not trying to make money, you know.
yeah,
Um, I'm I'm giving someone else an opportunity to enjoy these pieces
yep,
while at the same time financing my collection further. You know, I'm getting two birds stoned at once. So why not sell it aggressive? You know, for an aggressive price. So um, you know, for and one more the Shugo, the Batman Shugo.
mm-hmm.
I bought it as part of a lot that I had bought,
Oh wow,
and
okay.
I bought 4 pieces in one transaction, sold 2 of them, and Shugo was one of them, and I think I sold it for 12.50 shipped. So, like I said, just price to move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I've recently been selling these Iron Studio 1/10 X-Men statues, and somebody wanted these 3 statues, and I really didn't want to let them go because like I really like how they look, and it's Iceman, Pyro, Sabretooth, and I'm loving how they look, but when I think about the funds that I can actually get from them to put towards something, and I know what I want to put it towards. And what I want to put it towards is very, very good. Like, there's only been a couple pieces to where once they reveal, it really speaks to me, and I'm like, I have to have that piece. And it's not about price, size, or anything. It's a
So what
work
is
of
it?
art that I have to have. So the sale's been made. I ship them off tomorrow morning, and I'm just like, I'm gonna miss them, but it's gonna be worth it, man. It's gonna be worth it.
So what are you financing?
I am financing a.
Maestro?
Oh hell no, nah, man, nah. I'm financing XM Studios Rogue, and so it's one
Ah,
X Men to another, but
cool,
it's
cool,
taking care of that. So
cool.
yeah,
You know, what a cool looking piece, man. You know, she's holding like those, I don't know, some kind of metal objects, like one in each hand, right?
yeah, man. Just the
They're
powers,
outstretched
man.
and just this powerful pose. You know, just showing her charisma, showing her strength,
Yeah,
showing her fierceness, really, and you could see a lot of her character in that statue. And yeah, it's a really good one. Sideshow one is great as well, man. Especially
yeah.
if you can get that EX portrait, which uh, you know not everyone feels like you have to have it. But if I were to own that piece, I would want the EX portrait on that for sure.
I like the curly hair look. It's more classic in my opinion.
Yeah,
In the aftermarket prices for the sideshow, it's just a little too much for me, man. So I was just like, you know what? I'd rather just pay a regular price, get the statue. I love the swap outs, so that's really kind of what also did it. Um, Definitely love the swap outs. Every day I'm looking at the apocalypse as well. That's another
oh
good
man,
one, and I'm just like, man, that apocalypse is looking nice, and
for sure.
I'm saying I'm trying to resist because of funds, but don't be surprised if I have a apocalypse sometime this year. I'll just say that sometime this year.
I think Mr. X has a phrase for that.
What's that phrase?
Hashtag restraint, man.
Oh, hashtag restraint. Oh yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
X. Oh man,
yeah,
hashtag restraint. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So
It's hard to say no, man.
it is you know the crazy thing about it is between all the like studios, right? You know, Sideshow, XM, et cetera, Queen, you know, whatever the individual preference is. um it's so many, and like there's always something coming out, whether it's Marvel, DC, Star Wars, horror, Predator, sci-fi, you know, etc. Like there's just always something. Even if you don't want a statue, you're like, oh, none of these statues look nice. Sideshow's coming with the art prints, or somebody's coming with, you know, with this, or like, or now you're like, oh, well, I'll go ahead and get some overhead lights for my statues. I'll get a new case for my. It's always something where it's just like, you know, and maybe you feel this way because you actually work near your collection. Do you ever truly get a chance to sit back and just be appreciative of what you have? And I don't mean like, you know, how you want to teach a kid to be appreciative. I mean like legitimately just be thankful for, like, damn, like this is like I was able to obtain this, you know?
Uh, I will say that I've definitely caught myself on multiple occasions stopping and staring as I, walk in or out of my room sometimes.
Yeah.
So yes, they're typically brief moments though. I'm I'm typically pretty busy. My kids keep me really busy, uh, and the little bit of free time I have, yeah, I try to enjoy it, but where I can. But it's always there in the background. It's always at the corner of my eye, uh, which is nice, and I try to stop and savor it, when I can.
Yeah.
I do routinely switch it up,
Okay.
dust it. I care for it. Uh, I just changed some swap outs yesterday. In fact, I got a bunch of new shelves I put in the other day. So I've been moving some things around and swapped a couple of head sculpts and arm swap outs and whatnot. So
Yeah,
keeps it
no.
fresh, and yeah, and it'll keep me stopped in my tracks more often.
How often do you do the swap outs? Is it just dust time?
I I'd like to say change them probably 2 to 3 times a quarter. Uh, Closer to 2 times a quarter is probably more accurate, which I think
Yeah.
is often enough. And I won't change them all, you know, all in one rotation. I might only
Okay.
change 2 or 3 1 month and then 2 or 3 the next. I kind of randomize it. Um, there's not a whole lot of the swap outs that I don't like.
Yeah.
Um, there's some I would prefer for sure, but I swapped over to the crossbow hand on Shogun there behind me
Hmm.
yesterday after having the spear installed for almost a year. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I've realized that, you know, when I put on certain swap outs, just some of them I just don't really care for. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, I prefer this one, and you know, ironically, sometimes I won't even like the EX. You know, like obviously some statues come with the EX or don't. You know, I always try to get the EX just because, you know, if you ever want to resell it, just a little bit easier. You know, if somebody asks, well, here you go, man. You got both versions that you want. You know, um, is are certain statues an EX or bust? Even going back to that sideshow scarecrow, a lot of people felt like they had to have that EX head, man.
I had the collector's edition of that actually.
Yeah, likewise.
N- Not that I didn't try to get the EX.
Yeah.
Um, I got that one from Secret Compass actually.
Okay.
Uh, So if you haven't heard of that place, I don't know. I don't see a lot about it often lately, but great place to order if you're looking. Uh, so I got that one and Mr. Freeze from him, collector's edition. You know, I didn't feel like I was missing out too much on the Mr. Freeze. It was a proximity piece, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah, it
the,
was
the,
with his
the
wife.
Scarecrow, it was cool, but I'll tell you what I saw. I saw more people posting pictures of the standard portrait than the other one.
Yeah,
Not to say I wouldn't have swapped it out ever, but I was very pleased and happy with what I had. Um, there are some. Oh, my the Prime One Batman behind me, the Dark Knight back there. That
mm-hmm.
one's a collector's edition. I did get the bust to go with it though, so I've got a couple head sculpts extra from that. But there's a few others that are just a collector's edition, but I don't know. There are some that I don't know that exclusive. You know, the Rogue that we talked about earlier. That's got to be
Yeah,
one of them. I mean, Thanos on Throne. Most people
yeah,
say that EX portrait is much
yeah.
better. So I don't know.
Nice,
Yeah,
man.
there's definitely some out there that I feel like are EX or bust.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. I'm trying to think. Like, I kind of prefer what XM does. Like, for the most part, unless you get like a version B,
What are
there's
they talking
generally
about in chat right now?
just cause like I've been talking about statue shaming. Like with Iron Studios, statue shaming. There'll be like oh, I really like this statue, but it's a 1/10. So people are like, oh man, if it was a 1/4, it looked better, and they'll shame for the size and stuff like that, uh, and yeah, now they're talking about stuff in the '80s, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you guys were talking about this recently. If someone's shaming over scale, shame on them, man. Life's too short to be like that. Just be positive.
Yeah, yeah,
That's my philosophy. I don't go to those groups to pick on people, to make fun of anyone, to belittle them, make them feel bad. You know, uh, no, I if I see someone post a new purchase, I want to encourage that person. I want to
yeah,
congratulate them. They should be proud, whether it's a $50
definitely.
piece or a $1,000 piece. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
we can afford at that time, or
yep,
maybe that's the only thing that fits in their collection at that time. What does it matter what scale it is?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
for me, I collect multiple scales. Uh, Quarter scale is more my sweet spot, but I've got a couple busts in here. I've got the some third scale stuff. I've got some sixth scale stuff. Um, I've got Lego sitting in here.
mm-hmm.
It's multi scaled. Yeah, there's no room. There's no room in the groups for that kind of negativity, man. Not in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
No.
Um, Shane says I can vouch for that. No doubt, man. Yeah, I think a lot of different like I've seen collectors where it's like 1/6 and then they'll put like a 1/10 next to it or etc. I think it honestly just depends on your display, your setup of how a collection looks. You know what I'm saying? Um, so pretty much just how it looks. Like Pudgy and Dennis Perez, I will probably say have two of the best collections when it comes to like a mixture of like big and little. You know what I mean? Uh, it's crazy how they're able to kind of pull it off. Um, For the most part, I just have 1/4. I have a couple 1/10s that I'm keeping, predominantly the DC ones. But overall, I think Iron Studios is knocking it out the park. I know it's 1/10. It's not everybody's flavor, but I think at the rate that they're pushing those statues out as well is also crazy. Like they have an event almost like every other month, which is just it's
Hmm.
crazy.
I I don't have much experience with 1/10. I had a Thanos 1/10 piece from excuse me, Iron Studios, and he's kind of standing up on a I don't know cliff edge, and he's throwing fireballs down. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but it was cool.
Hmm.
And even though it was 10 scale, it was large because the base was large. The fireballs it all added to the overall size of it, and
Right.
so it had a decent presence, man. And a
Yeah.
lot of these 10 scale pieces can have a great presence.
Oh yeah, for sure,
And,
for
and
sure.
and you'll see a lot of dioramas in smaller scale too that you won't see in larger scale because it just doesn't make sense. So I mean, just today I was looking at one. It was a scene really cool of Joker escaping his cell in Arkham
Yeah.
with a balloon, that looks like Harley Quinn on top, and there's like this toxin gas, shooting out, and just it sets this really cool scene.
Yeah.
6 scale, I think, really pricey, unfortunately, but man, looks like they put a lot of work into it. Looks very complicated.
Yeah, no doubt,
Yeah.
man, no doubt.
So small scale, something. I mean, there is some wonderful smaller scale pieces out there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I like their like Killer Croc. I have their 1/10 scale Killer Croc, uh,
Mhm.
Juggernaut. Those are 1/10s that obviously the character itself is bigger, so they're gonna be bigger than your average 1/10. But they have a good presence to them. So like, obviously it's something that's pretty cool. Other ones such as Bishop or even the new Constantine that they're working on look very well. But we do this segment on the show. It's called
Mhm.
Now You Know, based off of Family Guys. It really grinds my gears. Um, is there anything in the community, whether it's YouTube community, Facebook community, statue collecting community, whatever community it is in the pop culture collecting world? Is there anything that you would like to get off your chest, or anything that you would prefer to change, even with the companies? I don't think anybody's ever talked about the companies, but is there anything you would want to get off your chest for the people?
The companies, that's too easy.
Yeah.
I think there's some obvious things we changed there. No, something recently really grinded my gears. I had seen a post about a new 6 scale figure from a company called Mars Toys of
Oh wow.
uh, Jack Nicholson Joker. Okay.
Hmm.
And it's almost an exact copy of the Hot Toys version. Okay.
Oh wow.
So in our community, that's a damn recast,
That's the recast. Yeah.
and you know, for the most part, that's pretty frowned upon. Uh, you're stealing someone's work.
Yeah.
You're selling shit pieces for way too much money. I could go on and on. But it's almost like it's universally accepted in the 1/6 community, which I'm not very involved in much anymore. So I may be way off here. And, you know, I guess my take on it, and if there's a character that Hot Toys is not producing, but there's a company like Susu Toys or Mars that can make it, as an alternative, I think that's great. It gives collectors that
Yeah. Yeah.
option. But when it's almost a carbon copy cash, and they're selling it at retail. Don't think they're paying those licensing fees,
Yeah.
but it seems to be the norm. And their take on it, which, by the way, I think is a completely valid point. The Hot Toys Joker is long sold out, and if you want to get your hands on it, it routinely costs around $500. So to them, I could buy this copy of it for $200 or whatever it costs, or if I want the real thing, it's $500.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it affordable for them. I still think it's stealing someone's work, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. But it seems like it's almost accepted. So, and once again, I might be way off there, and not judging the community for that. And if
Yeah.
that's the norm, if that is the standard for their culture over there, then awesome. Then good for them for getting a new affordable Joker, I guess. But it did grind my gears seeing it. It did.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, I can see that. When I first got into the community, it was XM Scorpion. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get as many of the Sinister Six as I could. I knew this was long sold out, and this is before I knew about recasts. I barely was just really finding out what a quarter scale meant at this time. And I'm like, oh man, this is sold out, but I see one right here for $900, and it looks like spot on. Like you could tell the paint was like just a smidge different, just a smidge. But you really couldn't tell the difference. And I was heavily considering purchasing this because in my eyes, before any community involvement, I'm like, well, I mean, it's the same thing. It looks exactly the same. Why can't I just get this? You know what I mean? Like what would be the harm in getting it? And I was messaging the guy as well. Hey, and I think the thing that actually stopped me from getting it was, he was saying that it was actually broken, but he could send it off to another shop, have it repaired, and then send it to me, whatnot. And if it wasn't, about for that, I would have ended up having a recast XM, quote unquote XM Scorpion. And obviously I didn't know. And I'm glad that it was broken, so therefore I didn't have it, because then it would have been impossible for one to sell. For two, you'd have had to told somebody it was a recast, and then you don't want anyone else to think, well, hey man, maybe that other piece is selling as a recast, etc. So I could see how that could really hinder one's, I guess you could say, reputation in the community or future sales, etc. But obviously now I do know that you don't want to take away the work of the artist, the work of the studio, just anybody involved in the project, in the actual project that is. But that's my story on recast. So luckily I didn't end up with one at the time of unknowing. You know what I mean?
And you can call me a hypocrite. I don't own any recast, mind you, but I have a custom Jack Nicholson quarter scale statue. There's I think the ES is 50 on it.
Yeah.
Um, they're not paying the licensing fees, but I don't know. I'm okay with that. Like I said, call me a hypocrite, but uh, they're not stealing anyone's work. They're creating the artwork. So yeah, not the same.
Yeah, yeah. I can. Yeah, I can see the point. I feel like for just specifically Marvel and DC, I do feel like because of what you have with Sideshow, then you have with Tweeterhead, then you have XM, PCS collectibles, a little bit of Queen in there when they do comic stuff. Um, even Iron Studios throwing that in there. I feel like with those companies, there is enough based off of what you're trying to do to where I'll be able to like finish the collection without having to do a custom fan art. However, I'm not knocking anyone who does it, anyone who's gotten them or received it, because honestly, there's some really cool looking ones out there. Like they look pretty cool. I'd be lying if I said that they didn't. Like some of them look a lot better than certain licensed things. I mean, I'm gonna just call it what it is. And then sometimes it's some of the same damn sculptors who are working for some of these companies too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't even say their names, but a lot of times it's the same sculptors or the same painters or, you know, same designers. As far as the team who's working on this stuff, or they may have done a project for, said company, that one specific project, but now they're off. I guess you could say quote unquote freelancing for their own thing. Now, so I mean, it's kind of like a double edged sword on that, based on the individual preference, really. I would honestly just say buy whoever you're more comfortable with, whether it's whoever.
Hey, I gotta say, man, I'm sorry about my lighting in here.
Oh, you're good, man.
Just I've got this flood lighting, and it's not enough. So I brought a lamp up from downstairs and trying to make do. So apologies.
Nah, you're good. I did a spooktacular episode. It was like an hour episode with Steven the Collector, an old community member, and he never wanted to be on camera. So I was on camera, and the whole time he just had his avatar on the screen, and I literally just stared at his avatar for an hour as we talked about horror stuff, and it was different, obviously, but hey, it's all good, man. So that's what I was telling people. Some people are like they're really shy to come on. I'm like, dude, you ain't even gotta be on camera if you're not comfortable. Like you could, hell, for all I know, you could be in your boxers just talking. I literally won't care, man. Like whatever you're
Well,
comfortable with, man.
I can finally read chat now. So sorry guys if I uh, yeah, Pudgy, I am in the witness protection.
Oh man, there's a few in the chat. No, that's funny, man. So you had actually asked to bring this picture up here for pre-orders, and this is the Batman Who Laughs with XM, and I know a lot of people were kind of like, there's so many different versions of this statue. Like, what do you think the craze is of this character?
You know, uh, it's it's evil, it's mean, it's it's the character's as creepy as all hell. To be completely honest, I read the entire storyline and it was okay. Um, the story arc was a bit much in my opinion, but overall it was okay. But the character I did really enjoy and I want more of. And the character is still in its infancy, which just leaves so much room uh, to do more with. I didn't read any of the death metal line
Mm-hmm.
um, yet. I may one day. Depends on if I can make the time to read that series. But I, I did enjoy the main character, of course, and then the rest of the gang, so to speak, Merciless and Dawnbreaker, um, uh, the Drowned, and Red Death. I feel like Murder Machine, and am I missing one? Anyways, but man, the Prime One came onto the
Yeah.
scene and made a huge statement.
Yep.
And man, is that statue impressive? And I've never seen it in person. And I've been tempted a few times, but after the 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 first couple of Prime One pieces I got, the Dark Knight and the Bermejo Joker, I
Hmm.
just didn't want to take up the space that a Prime One demands again with another 1/3 from Prime One, and I think it's only one box, but and I may be wrong, but I don't know. I passed on it. I did pre-order the Sideshow, and it had been delayed. And remember, I said earlier, I have to, give some justification not only to myself but for my wife when I
Yeah.
get something new. So I was making a lot of transactions back in November, December timeframe, tracking down the last few of these samurai pieces. So I needed the funds, and so I was able to get a full refund on the Sideshow one, which I really do like. I think the paint on his crown is a little bit off, but overall, I think it's a pretty nice piece. But I did refund it, and I ordered this one 2 days ago, actually. Uh,
Nice.
and I'm gonna stick to my story. Uh, I got this from our neighborhood friend Todd Johnson. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Cool, man.
It should be shipping fairly soon. But man, it has a great presence, I think, and a lot of options with the removable wings. It
Oh, I
takes
didn't know that. Okay.
it so that the wings come off, and it's got some a plate you can put over the keyholes.
Yeah.
A couple swap outs for the arms, 3 head sculpts. It's a tall piece. It's
Cool.
wide, and you're getting multiple characters in one setting. So there's a lot of value in it. It has a lot of presence. I think the paintwork on it is phenomenal. I think the colors really, really pop on the little Roblins, as I like to call them. And man, he is just evil looking. He is just malevolent as can be, and I think he's going to be really cool. And that's partly why I'm selling my Bloodborne Hunter. It's because this one's going to be filling that space. So really excited about it. So yeah, I ordered that from Spec Fiction, and hopefully, yeah, I don't know, it'll ship here within a couple months.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm actually gonna show this picture here as well, cause I wanna get your thoughts on this because it's kind of like a little bit like the sideshow scarecrow base with the Jason Todd. Um, do you really care for this base here? I know you're obviously getting it, but like, does that kind of remind you of that with the Robins coming out, or?
Yeah, of course. It definitely has ties to that, and I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, that I think that was just maybe a subconscious thing. I don't know that really drew me to this is partly because of that. Um, I would, I don't know. I I can't really say what part of the design phase this was in when
Yeah.
the sideshow Scarecrow was revealed. So I don't know if they drew inspiration from the Scarecrow statue. I would never say that they copied it, but
Oh yeah, for
it's
sure. Yeah.
possible that they drew inspiration from that for sure. But I think it's just really cool, and man, there are some creepy little kids on that statue, man. This evil looking little Roblins.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I know that line, whether you're getting it from Sideshow, XM, or Prime One, it's become very popular in terms of, even the art prints I see, they sell, which is crazy. But it's definitely a good piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
Um I don't think you can really go wrong with whichever one the individual collector decides to go. Each one that I've seen so far, they all have something different that they kind of bring to the table. And it's crazy for it to be that one piece of art that I don't feel like a lot of collectors know about, or I guess know the backstory, so to say, including myself. It can just fit in your collection. It's a piece of art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy, man. But I want to ask you. So how long have you actually been collecting though? Like how many years would you say if you had to ballpark it?
Um, Buying stuff for the sole purpose of displaying it, I would say 19 years. Um,
Nice.
so it was not long after maybe not quite that long. Maybe, maybe around 2005. So 17. Uh, yeah, it was fairly early in my military career, and I was living in a small town in Idaho, and there wasn't a whole lot to do, and so I'd spend some of my funds on smaller collectibles, and at the time, it was, McFarlane toys. There was
Mm-hmm.
some really cool Hellraiser lines that they had put out, which has always been, a line of characters that I've loved. A line of
Yeah.
movies that I just, really, really love. So I had some of those, and Tortured Souls. I think they had a line called Tortured Souls. So those Star Wars Unleashed. If any of you out there remember those, some really cool, almost like a diorama. Uh, Not fully, but it had a base that would tell a story in every case. So they were cool collectibles, and I was, I took them out of the packages. I displayed them. I wasn't buying them to sell. I mean, and I don't know if any of them ever gained a lot of value. I couldn't tell you, but and for a time, there was an individual in my past that pushed me to get rid of all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
thankfully that individual is no longer part of my life. Um, and my love for collecting was really, rekindled um, when I started dating the woman I went on to marry. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, it's been the better part of 20 years. So yeah, early on, McFarlane mostly. I had some Alien and Predator stuff as well, and then in Japan. So I was buying some vintage stuff, which was really cool. I was buying a lot of vintage Star Wars, mostly vehicles, and all of them were in the boxes still. So uh, one of them was still sealed. It was a little ATST Walker. I had a Falcon in the box, a Y-wing, a snow speeder. I had the land speeder. So a
Mm-hmm.
decent little collection of Star Wars vehicles. And I've since sold those. They just didn't really fit well anymore. Uh,
Yeah.
had a place in my heart for sure, though, because who doesn't love Star Wars, right? So
Hey, no
and
doubt,
I see
man.
you've been watching it lately too, huh?
Ye- Man, dude,
Yeah.
Star Wars, man. It's been a blast. It's been an adventure. It's been a hell of a ride, man. A hell of
What's
a
up, Mark?
ride. And it's a good ride, man. It's a really good ride. Like I enjoyed Han or Solo the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're on to Force Awakens, so it's like the next and the next and the next.
Okay.
Looking forward to Obi-Wan show. Looking forward to that. I'm hoping the Lando show actually does come to fruition because like I really do want to like
Are
I really want to see that.
are they using Danny Glover, or would they? I guess.
Well, supposedly it would be a mixture of Billy D. Williams and him. but Billy D is
Okay.
85, so I don't know
Yeah.
like how that was gonna work out there. So we'll see, but kind of like basically like flashbacks, kind of like Bobo with in the Bacta tank. So maybe so, man. But either whatever they do, I'm all for it.
Well, have you been enjoying them?
Yeah, very much so, man.
Good.
Very much
Good.
so.
That's
Yeah,
good to hear. Yeah, great fun ride all the way through. And
yeah,
I won't go into I like X better than Y. There's overall I love the series, and there's definitely some I like more than others, and there's some I don't
yeah.
care that much for. But as a whole, just and as a property, it's just
Oh
amazing,
yeah,
and it's brought the world, the whole world, so much joy, and it's been doing that, for over 40 years now.
yeah. That's even crazy to say. Like there's people out there who grew up with this as a kid, and now they have kids, and they're
Hmm.
introducing their kids to this universe. You know what I mean? Which is just
And
it's crazy to see that it's actually withstand the test of time.
I'm old enough to have bought, the original toys in the early '80s, at retail, and they would have been uh, kind of like the leftovers, probably from Return of the Jedi. But um, yeah, so it was a craze then. And it's just as much of a craze now.
Yeah.
It just continues, and uh, you know, more Star Wars is not always, I don't know, is not necessarily always the answer, but lately I've been fairly happy with the content they're putting out. So for sure.
Ye- Yeah. Are you looking forward to the Obi-Wan show or
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You and McGregor getting to see him reprise his role is just going to be is amazing. Phenomenal actor. The role I love that he portrayed the most was the role he played in Train Spotting.
Mhm.
Uh, Old movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but
No.
he played a heroin addict actually. But phenomenal movie, great script. It's a dark comedy. So some laugh out loud moments, but definitely some oh shit moments. Just
Yeah.
dark humor at times. But Ewan McGregor, man, that guy is just a phenomenal actor. Um, he's never been typecast, which is something uh, I think really commendable for actors and actresses, and he's never been one to be typecast, in my opinion.
No doubt, man. So I've heard we talk behind stage and stuff sometimes, and it's been said that if Qui-Gon hadn't have been if he didn't leave the film as early, stuff would have been different with Anakin. Do you feel the same if Anakin was his Jedi master opposed to Obi-Wan?
Do I think that
Like
Anakin
he
would have
wouldn't have.
turned out the same if Qui Gon had been his mentor as opposed to Obi Wan?
Yeah, but then again, didn't it kind of lead to Padme? In terms of like it was the like he loved her, and so I mean, I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't have happened per se. He never would have met her. You never know. It's all hypothetical, but
I mean,
maybe.
on one hand, that was his destiny, but on the other hand, there's no fate but what we make for ourselves, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know. Interesting to think about. What if Qui Gon had trained Anakin? He was older, wiser,
yeah,
more mature, much more seasoned Jedi, right? So
yeah,
he was a Jedi master.
yep,
Obi-Wan was, barely a Jedi. Uh, and wasn't really prepared. Did the best he could, I think. But yeah, I think Qui-Gon would have had a better grasp, but I don't know, man. Anakin's midichlorian count was pretty bumping, so I don't know if Qui-Gon could have held him down. So
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Yeah, man. Star Wars is something else, man. It's crazy, man. What the hell? What if Jerry says? What if Obi-Wan remembered C-3PO and R2-D2? What the heck? Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah. Star Wars, man. Have you ever been to a convention for Star Wars, or like even if it's a Comic Con or anything like that?
not specifically for Star Wars. I've been to a decent amount of cons. Been to Dallas Comic Con. I guess it's called Fan Expo in Dallas. I've been there a couple times around 2014, 15, I'd say. Had a blast. Great time. Recently, I went to Emerald City Comic Con, and it wound up not being a great experience. Businesses, at least here in Washington, and just recently started opening up, and so there was still some really restrictive procedures in place, which is fine. So everyone, of course, in there was wearing a mask. There was some other stuff that happened. Some I don't know. So I guess some personal stuff got in the way with family had to come first that day, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
we wound up being there long enough that day, and stayed the night in downtown Seattle, so that was really cool. So we wound up having a real good time. It was right after my wife's birthday too, so we wound up going out for a real nice dinner. But I'm trying to think. There's a local kind of Comic-Con that they have on a much smaller scale that and a couple local toy fairs that we've had, but nothing Star Wars specific. Sometimes I wish I lived in SoCal or in New York, but I have made plans in the past to go to San Diego Comic-Con. In fact, I had a 4-day pass in 2000 for 2008. I had a 4-day pass for San Diego Comic-Con, and then I found out how much hotels were going to be and the airfare was going to be, and I had to factor in what I was going to spend on swag, on food, taxis, etc. And it was just starting to add up way too quick, and at the time it just didn't make a whole lot of financial sense because I don't know. So I was able to get a refund on that, and I went to Vegas instead. So what are you gonna do? It was still wound up being a costly trip, right? Yeah.
Yeah, most
I had
definitely,
just gotten
man.
back from Iraq, and I had been planning that trip while I was still in country, and so Vegas was the next best thing, I guess you could say.
So, with the type of career that you've done, my cousin, I think he's in in Washington right now. It's like all the Air Force guys go to the same location. He was in Denver, then he's in Washington. Just came back from Korea, if I'm not mistaken.
What
Then we have
branch?
he's in the Air Force.
Oh, okay. You said your cousin, right?
Yeah, my cousin. Then we have another collecting buddy. I think he went from Texas to he went to Texas, then they went to Washington, and I think that's where his wife and his kid is at. But then he flew out himself to after he got her set up to Korea, to South Korea. If I'm I don't want to mix up the destinies, but I think. But anyways, what I'm getting at is, out of all the places that you know have had to travel to, what's been the best place, like far as like non-work related there?
Well, man, I have to say I've been pretty fortunate in that area. Yeah, the military gave me a lot of really cool opportunities to see
No doubt.
some great things. It wasn't always great, but yeah, I mean, Portugal really stood out. Uh, I was on a small group of islands called the Azores, which is
The
about
Azores.
they're 900 miles west off the coast of mainland Portugal. And the Portuguese Air Force have a base there. And I was stationed there. I worked at the control tower there and spent 15 months. And God, it was beautiful. There was
Was that
no there was no
indigenous?
7-Elevens. There was no McDonald's. It was pastures and stone walls, you know, that were handmade,
Wow.
and people like herding sheep down the roads. Just beautiful islands
Yeah.
and whitewashed buildings with Mediterranean tile, and you know, they had a festival where they released bulls, and the food was spectacular. Just a wonderful experience, and I never would have been able to experience something like that without the military. So, um, you know, Japan was great. I spent 3 years there. Spent a year in South Korea. Um, yeah, so I've been really lucky. Spent some time a couple other states, but I'd have to say Japan and Portugal, you know, definitely stood out. How could they
Cool.
not,
Cool.
right? So,
Yeah. Well, hey, most definitely, man. If you're able to, as traveling being, I guess you could say one of the perks, that's definitely cool as well. Um, yeah, I know. He liked it. He liked it being over there as well. He said he was able to learn like a lot of like martial arts defenses, stuff like that, and a lot of cool stories. I mean, of course, you hear like the real world stuff as well. But then there is always the good stuff as well that you get to hear, and that part is definitely kind of makes it all worth it, along with obviously what you're there for as well. But that's definitely cool, man. Um, is there anything like you would tell yourself, like if you could go back in the past about collecting? Would you tell yourself like, hey man, don't collect anything until this XM Samurai line comes out in 2020?
if only I could have ordered Ivy right at retail. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, I'd probably tell myself don't just stay out of the hobby altogether.
Oh wow, okay.
No, uh, I mean that's partially true. What can I say? Um,
Yeah.
it's definitely taken over a good part of my life. It's taken over my room. It's taken over a large section in my garage. I've recently had to build additional shelving in my garage just to contain the boxes, the growing number of boxes. Um, Obviously, there's the financial impact. I mean, the money that I got from selling the hot toys that financed my entry into statues could have, you know, bought a small car, you know, probably, and a small used car. I don't know. It, yeah, it's crossed my mind. There's partial truth to that, but if I had to go back and I still became a collector, I would have bought Maji cases. There's my
Oh
answer.
really?
Yeah. Uh,
Do you
while
think
I
you'll ever go back and do that?
no, I not while I'm in this house. Maybe if I
Okay.
move. I'm really happy with my display cases. and I put a lot of work and extra and a little bit of extra money into them. They're not that expensive, uh, but you can't use these style of this of cabinetry, stock out of the box. They just can't take this kind of weight. They're not built for that. These are
Yeah.
are built to use as closet space. If you were to live in a loft or something,
Yeah.
um, that's their intended purpose. So the fact that we put 60, 70-pound statue on it and expect it, this particle board to hang in there is a little far fetched. So
Yep.
they work for me now. I think they look good for the most part. There's definitely some things I would have done differently with building these, but I'm happy with the results. If I had to do it over again, I wish I would have just gone all out and invested more money in what I'm displaying these expensive ass statues in.
Yeah.
We put all this money into the statues, and why wouldn't you put a decent amount of money into the display case? Uh, and it's relative, I think. Um, Modu cases are expensive, but
Yeah.
you're putting statues that sometimes are in the thousands of dollars. If it's like some rare custom,
Yeah. Yeah.
why wouldn't you want something solidly built? And Pudgy, so these are really heavily modified. So I've got some wood lumber under these shelves. I've got metal shelf pegs. Um, they are not moving at all. They are really sturdy. They've held up for well over a year,
Oh
better part
wow.
of 2 years actually. So I think, yeah, better part of 2 years they've held up. So they're here to stay. They're solid, but I would do that over again because it would look maybe a little more classy. It would be easier to clean, maybe. I don't know.
So are you? If you don't mind me asking, are you still active duty? Are you going to be stationed
No,
anytime soon? Or
no. I did 20 years in 1 month, and I retired in November, or as of 1 November of 2021. So Halloween was my last official day in service, and I woke up the next morning and I was a free man. So no, I retired. Happy to have served, but
yeah,
I'm also really happy that I've moved on to
something else.
the
Yeah.
middle-aged portion of my life, I guess you could say. So uh, I'm happy so far. I'm taking full advantage of some of my civilian freedoms, so to speak. Um, Enjoying life as much as possible. I was able to thankfully roll into a job fairly quickly, just a couple weeks later. So,
Cool.
and I'm still with that company, and uh, may make hopefully an internal move soon, but hopefully I'll be doing that for quite a long time. So yeah, life's been good post military, um, but it was a fun ride. It was a long ride, 20 years.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Definitely crazy, man. I can't say I've actually been anywhere for 20 years, obviously, but um, the few places that I have been at, time served obviously is something something people kind of talk about. But definitely, man, appreciate your service. It's always cool to be able to hear some stories and just even how you're talking about the people herding the sheep. That's not something you see every day as you walk outside. So definitely pretty cool. One of the final questions that I always have, in different fashions, if I may add, is the Mount Rushmore question. You know, the Mount Rushmore question. So, you know, if there's any four statues that you would put on your Mount Rushmore, whether they're in your collection or not, or you've had them or you sold them off, or even something that you see on pre-order that hasn't released, but you feel like, you know what, this is gonna blow anything out the water. This is on my Mount Rushmore. What would your Mount Rushmore be?
You know, when I watch your show, Cash, and I hear you, I've heard you ask that question before, and it's so easy to think of it, you know, at that time. But man, being on the spot, well, I can. Now, here's the thing. Only the portrait, right? Like, so we're talking what. This is really a question about what are your 4 favorite portraits, right?
Possibly, yeah, yeah. No, I'm looking at
So,
mine. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
all right. So, knowing that, and these are probably going to be most of the ones that I don't own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm going to go on Sculpt. Man, that is a tough one. But I think that, and this is one that I own. I
Okay.
think that the Queen Studio 1/3 scale Heath Ledger Joker is extremely good and should be on my Rushmore.
Okay.
I have the sculpted version. Um, Rooted version is awesome too. I didn't order it in time, unfortunately. So, but real happy with it. Great piece. I think that Hush Superman has got to be up there,
Oh, wow.
and I've never owned that. I've never even seen it in person, but everything I see just blows me away. It's just, how could you not like that statue? It's amazing. The presence of it, God, it's incredible. So I think that has to be up there. I would put, man, this is tough. I'm gonna put XM Magic up there.
Ooh.
Um,
Wow. Okay.
Never seen it in person, but man, is that a good looking portrait?
Yeah.
Just a great statue overall.
Yeah.
I
What's
get
up,
one
casual?
more, right?
Yeah, one more.
So I will tell you this. I'm going to pick one more, and man, it's so hard to narrow it down to 4, but I'm going to choose one more from my collection just because I don't want to take too much time to think about it. But
I think I know what you're gonna say.
XM Samurai Joker
I knew it. I knew it was coming, man. I knew it was coming.
is the
Yeah.
portrait is out of all the samurai pieces I own,
Yeah.
and people would call me crazy for saying, well, what about Ivy? Well, the portrait that's on there right now, he is grinning with his teeth clenched. And that particular portrait is my favorite of the 3 that it has.
Yeah.
And he couldn't look more maniacal. And the teeth, like seeing those teeth in person, it blew me away. And what a thing to stand out, the teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they put some kind of almost a translucent glaze on them, and it just brings them to life. And the look in his eyes, bloodshot eyes, just looks so maniacal. And man, is it cool. So that's going to be my 4th. So what is that? Hush Superman.
Hush Superman.
And I
Joker.
said XM Magic.
Magic.
Heath Ledger Joker, Queen Studios, and
Yep.
XM Joker. That's my 4.
No,
Strange
hey,
list, maybe a little random, but
nah,
I'm
nah.
I'm going on portraits tonight.
Superman Hush. It hasn't been on all 25 episodes. However, it has been said at least 40% of the time, which is crazy. That must be one of the best statues of all time. Like it's constantly being said.
So when are you
Constantly.
getting yours?
I'm not getting the Superman Hush. Yeah, that ship has sailed. I'm sticking with Marvel for the most part. Um, Sticking with Marvel for the most part. Definitely gonna be looking into like a little small display
Mhm.
of Birds of Prey and Gotham City Sirens, but
Okay. Oh, Walton made a really good point. I didn't even mention the Bermejo Joker. Definitely an honorable
mm,
mention. Walton definitely deserves a lot of respect.
yeah, that was a crazy portrait. Even the base on that thing is nice. I like the purple
Oh
as
man, I
well.
love it.
Yeah,
It is really cool. Um, just a gritty portrayal of the character, and just someone that you would walk across the street to avoid. If you saw and you were crossing paths, you would go way out of your way to avoid that character. Just like I said, evil and just nasty and dirty and gritty.
yeah,
Uh, and really captured the look from the comic, and that's a, if you haven't read it, uh, great read. uh, and the damned storyline,
hmm
I think it's really good. And then there's another really good one, I think it's Azarello, um, just called Joker, and highly recommend that one too.
yeah. No doubt, man. No doubt. It's definitely a different list, but like I said, Superman Hush is always there. Some way, somehow, I knew Joker was gonna make it in there. I didn't know Magic, but I knew Joker was gonna make it in there. I don't know why, but I had the feeling for Joker. I actually just seen XM Magic for the first time a couple of days ago. Actually, like even in pictures form, anything. I had never seen the statue before.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Never.
it's a hard one to get. I, I may be off here, but I want to say the ES is like 500 ish, 600 ish. It's pretty low. Uh, I'm off. I know, but it's pretty low. I'm sure someone in chat knows. So it's
Man.
rare, and when you see it come up, it sells quick and it sells for a lot of money.
hmm
If I had to guess, that's probably at the $2,000 mark, if not over it by now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. That's something else, man.
it's impressive.
No doubt.
It
No
really
doubt.
is.
Man, dude. As we wind down and close, I definitely want to say I appreciate you for coming on. It's always cool when you get to put a face to the names in the chat or a face to the
Mhm.
comments in the chat and stuff like that. So I appreciate you coming on, um, having a chat, man. You know what I'm saying? Getting to know a little bit more about the individual. As far as your collection, a little personal stuff as well. I always find that very pretty cool. The show itself is specifically just about the guest. You know what I mean? It's not about me. It's just about giving the community a outlook, to be able to just communicate and have a good time in the hobby, man. And at the end of the day, the collectibles are amazing. Like I love the statues, I love the art prints, I love setting up the shelvings and getting the lights and all the things we do to make it look good, even dusting. But the one thing that I will say has been either equally or better than any grow you could name or you have is just the communication of the chats of the hobby, and like, hey man, this new piece just came out, or or you're looking to buy something, and hey man, I got that, or I know a guy who has it. He's a trusted seller, he's a trusted buyer. Like just stuff like that is like has really made the hobby like taken to a next level. Because if you remember, like when you're in school and you have, I don't know, cards that you're collecting or whatever, like you had to wait till the next day to show off what you got. And now it's just going online, for example, and it's just like, hey man, I just got this new Spider-Man and look at it. You might want it too, or whatever. And I find that very, very fascinating, man. Very fascinating. But yeah,
Sure. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me on tonight, Cash. I
no
had a
doubt.
blast. This was a lot of fun. Um, you know, just holler at me, man, if you ever want me on again for one of your other programs or something. I'm happy to help out where I can. I just, I just love being a part of the community. I've met so many good people, and I get to see the joy that statues bring to all of these
Yeah.
people in the community, man. And it's been a light in the dark, really, for myself
Yep.
and maybe for others out there, as well. And just so happy to be involved in that. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart, Cash, for having me on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, definitely not a problem, man. And if anybody else wants to come on at any point in time, the email is down below. You guys can shoot me an email at cashdagemini29@gmail.com or just on Facebook, either or, man. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be right away. It could be later. You know what I mean? And if you guys don't want to be on camera, hey, turn the camera off, find a cool avatar, and I'll just look at the avatar for a little bit, and we'll have a good time, man. No big deal, man. But again, thank you to Nathan. Thank you to everybody out there in the chat as well. Appreciate all 35 of you guys for sticking through, and you guys have a good one. And hey, next let me see. Tomorrow's Friday. Ooh, I'm trying to see how I can do this. I will make sure some way somehow, because I've been needing to unbox it. You have my word. I will make sure some way somehow on Monday, and I will find a time. Monday we will finally do the live unboxing of the big game Predator cover art by Prime One Studios. I will make it happen on Monday sometime. I don't know the time because she's working at home now, so I gotta figure out how I can make this work on Monday. But we'll get it done on Monday for you guys and just have a good time. I just wanted to put it out there real quick, and yeah, man. So that's everything I have to say, and just gonna have a good time unboxing that. I know I've had it in the box for a while, but yeah, man. Yeah, thank you for your service to Nathan. Great
Uh,
chat, Cash.
uh, Everyone in chat, thanks for your kind words. I won't name everyone, but thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate it. I had fun, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys have a good one. Cash out, man.
Put some cash in your life. Put some cash in your life. If your cash ain't right, if your cash ain't right, put some cash in your life.